want to spend more time during this period because this solidifies her. In psychology, we have something called critical bias, right? So it's a filter system that every human being goes through. So you and me are essentially different, not by the DNA or the genetic makeup, but the way you have been raised. So your pedigree, that means the way, the
Hmm.
environment that you were in, and the environment I was in was a completely different environment. So the belief system, the teachings, the the the
Hmm.
the amount of the conviction I have or the confidence or all that imbibes me as one personality, that personality is
Yeah.
me because of all the things that my parents have taught me and the environment that I was in,
Hmm.
right? The same thing goes for you also, right? So everything that has been around you has shaped you the way you are. So there was this famous experiment that was done by I don't remember this, on some psychology professor. So what he did was that he took two twins, right? So and then same guy. I mean, it's identical twins. So he just moved them apart, and one he gave a different environment altogether, another one he gave a different environment. And I think there was a funny movie in Bollywood also. I don't remember which one was. I was just kind of seeing a
Hmm.
snippet just recently. It was coming in. So and then what they realized was that the environment makes a lot of difference, even though you are the child of the same parent, but the environment will
Hmm.
completely change you. So it was a pretty interesting thing, and that's what I believe in, right? So as a kid, during your formidable years, that is, where you are just like a clay, you could be modeled into anything. All you have to do is that you
Hmm.
have to give the right kind of exposure environment, and you will thrive. And if you don't give the right kind of exposure, I mean, you will not thrive. And which is
Hmm.
basically goes back to the human nature. Like, I don't know if you know about this experiment also that has been widely talked about, that uh, they made this place called a rat heaven, right? And where
Hmm.
rats were kept, and they were given everything possible, right? Everything possible, right? And then what they did, they replicated the same kind of rat cage, and in that they started injecting or started maybe mixing the water with cocaine, right? And then
Oh yeah, I know that experiment.
and
Yeah,
then
they get hooked
they get
right
hooked
away,
and
right?
they get hooked and they get
Yeah.
hooked to cocaine so badly. But then what they
Hmm.
did was they took the same rat who were hooked, addicted to cocaine, and they moved to the
Hmm.
rat heaven. The rat heaven had everything. There are
Hmm.
multiple partners, right? And there was an abundance of
Hmm.
food. The environment was good. You know what happened?
Hmm.
Until it was not
No.
overcrowded, they did not even touch the cocaine-induced or induced water in that.
Oh,
So it
so it
kind
is connected to depression and
yeah,
competition and all
yeah,
that, right?
yeah. So it kind of proves that your environment is a key for everything. As long as you're living in a very
Hmm.
healthy environment, no amount of depression, anxiety, or any kind of mental health will do it. If you have people who are supportive, who are supporting, like you're a very supportive person, right? You support everybody, like you uplift people, and that's a very positive thing to do. Imagine if there is somebody in your life who's always like bringing you down. There's a toxic kind
Oh
of
yeah.
relationship. What's going to happen is that you will eventually fall into the trap of mental illness, and you start saying,
Yeah.
okay, I'm having, and it's a serious thing. And I've been hearing a lot from a lot of my friends about this mental health kind of thing. I mean, it's a kind of thing where
Yeah.
it feels like the energy is sucked out of your body. I mean, you
Yeah.
may be
Yeah.
physically be able, but somehow you may not be able to lift anything. You'll not be able to do anything. It just feels like your battery has been completely drained down. And they used to explain me
Yeah.
this concept, and I was like, okay, how is it possible? I mean, you are eating good food, eat good food, exercise. That's all it matters. But yeah, but deep down, your brain is not firing enough serotonin, and it's not giving you enough
Hmm.
dopamine or energy or the motivation so to do anything, and then you just feel, you go downhill. Yeah, it's a very interesting field. You know,
Yeah, there are so many variables that influence a person that I think it is impossible to calculate. I think no parent is going to be successful in making a child or growing up a child exactly that he or she wants to, because there's just so many variables. I was going through this one guy, PBD, Patrick but David. Have you heard his name? He runs a podcast by the name of PBD podcast, and he was talking about three phases of relationship between a son and a father. And you and I both know that relationship because I and you have both been sons, and now you're a father as well. So there are three phases. Number one is like the kids just idolize their father. The phase that you were talking about, you are the superhero, and I felt like that about my father as well. Like nobody is better. And then generally during the teenage and all, you start to demonize that father because he is trying to teach you something, make a man out of you, a woman out of you, and you start to hate that. And then you start to hate that he made so many mistakes, because no matter what you do, you're going to make mistakes, you're human too. And then finally you kind of come to an agreement, and generally it happens, that's what I've heard, when you become a father too, that you start to humanize that person, that he was a human too, or he is a human too. And you have to accept the flaws of a person. So
Yeah.
that's a complicated relationship. I don't think there's any way to plan it and make it a project and do exactly like you wanted to do. It's kind of like the ideal real scenario, right? You can pursue idealism, but you can only try to chase it. You are never going to reach that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's the thing that everybody they have to go through their own journey, and during the journey they learn, and it's an iterative process, and that kind of shaped us as a human being, that who we are. Because during the
Hmm.
entire shaping of, some people have found out the Eureka movement, and then they've been able to do it early, they've been able to do it late, and some people they've been able to come out of the box and figure out something else beyond what it is. So that
Hmm.
the journey is what maps or makes the human who we are, because we want to, we don't know the, sometimes we don't know the outcome of what is going to happen. We know what is the end goal, but we really don't know what is
Hmm.
the outcome. And then comes the other variable part of that, which is basically the religion, and basically all other aspects, the spirituality, and then all other aspect that comes in, because you get stuck and then you don't have anybody, you're seeking for help. Now you don't have your
Hmm.
parents, and then you, okay, let me just seek help from a supreme being, which is not even there, which is possibly omnipresent, who's just looking up to us for doing that. So there's quite a lot of things that you go in, and then you, sometimes you believe in that, sometimes you don't believe in that, because it's, okay, I've not been taken care of. Sometimes you think that, oh no, because this was a test, and it's just kind of goes on and on and on. So it goes deeper, deeper
Yeah.
layer. I mean, every time you just try to peel off, it gives you this thing. But that gives a good point of what you said about, like, hey dad, I know better than you.